Hello and welcome to another edition of the Content Marketing Leaders podcast series from Pepper. Today we've got with us the CMO of Al Waqba National Insurance Company in the UAE. It's only our second podcast in the region, and I'm really excited to have Zeeshan with us. A little bit about Zeeshan. So Zeeshan's been in the industry for about 16 years. He comes from a village called Jand in Pakistan. He's done his bachelor's in marketing and almost doctorate in marketing. We speak about that in some time. And his claim to fame is actually he's done marketing across 76 countries worldwide. Again, a conversation for later today. So I'm really excited to have him with us. He has been a trailblazer in, marketing transformation in the Middle East. He is also a host of a very interesting podcast series called Behind Marketing Lines. So he's not a stranger to sitting in the chair and speaking to leaders across the region itself. So very warm welcome, Zeeshan. It's really good to have you here. And I can't wait to dive into speaking to you about your journey and what influences you've had in your illustrious career.
Well, thank you very much, Akshay. And I think it's good to be sitting on this side of the chair for a change. And thank you very much for having me. And I really loved the intro. I think I'm going to make that the intro part on my LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much.
Fabulous. So diving right into it, now one of the trends which most leaders have is, and at least that's what I've seen, I have had that journey myself, wherein, most leaders start with different roles, different organizations, follow structured career paths before diving into entrepreneurship or starting something on their own. A trend which is probably flipped in the current generation, but at least I think the generation we come from, it's been fairly traditional. You've not had that traditional start to your career. You had Zeeshan and Co. You've been an entrepreneur. So what made you choose that, and how has that influenced your leadership journey?
Well, thank you for asking that. Zeeshan & Co. was founded when I was 14 years old.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
With my own money, I actually had my first business cards printed. And, looking back, we used to fix computers back in the days, and that is what the company used to do. And I think marketing was an integral part of it because, okay, you know how to fix computers, but until and unless people know you fix computers, it wouldn't work out. And I think one thing that I learned during my early days at Zeeshan & Co. and a few ventures that I had afterwards, before I landed my first formal job in 2011, I think resourcefulness would be the key word for me. Because not having adequate resources to do things, but still being able to pull things off one way or another, I think was something that I still carry with me. And even when I'm at a corporate job right now, I think that that startup mentality still stays with me and ensures that, I have that hunger and I have that thing in me, which, even when I do not have the adequate resources, I still keep moving forward.
Awesome. So resourcefulness and having that startup mentality is what got you started on your journey. Now, you've also mentioned that you've supported 76 countries across your career. Now, across all the regions and all the markets you worked in, what is the one thing that you think is common working across different cultures, different geographies? And what are some things that marketers should look for, which are, very specific to regions? And in this case, you could talk about the Middle East, where you're being based.
Interesting question. So I think one thing that people reward in brands is, in fact, three things. Clarity, being human, right? And being consistent. If a brand is not consistent, then, a guru I used to work with used to say that, if you do not have consistency in your branding across board, then it wouldn't fly as a brand. So that's common, right, across the board. I believe one thing which is underrated or underestimated at times by marketers across these regions is the speed of decision making. What I've seen in the Middle East is that the decision making is faster than the rest of the markets, and it's built on relationship, right? Same thing that we are doing here today. But, and you've worked in the Asia Pacific more than I have, and I think you have a better understanding. But I believe that is very experimentation and technology driven market. When it comes to China, it is hyper precision. They have a lot of attention to detail. And when it comes to Europe, I believe it's more structured and they're very compliance driven as well. So I think these are a few changes that I saw when it comes to decision making. Were different as a marketer when I look at these.
Very interesting point. In fact, now that you mention it, I'm thinking about it. And while you have way more experience than I do in this region, but I've experienced it, it's a lot more agile. It's a lot more relationship driven. Same I can say about as you move further eastward and westward. I'm assuming compliance is another word for they take their own time.
That is so true.
Okay, very interesting. Now you've worked broadly across two sectors. So there's health, then there's of course the FSI, which is insurance, heavily regulated, and a lot of times they do tend to be at the wrong end of consumers' sentiment, trust. So you've worked in both of these sectors. Both of these sectors can be sometimes construed as not very interesting to marketers, can be construed as very straitjacketed in the way they have to approach communication. So how have you broken these barriers or perceptions in building trust and also keeping things exciting for the consumers?
Right. So I started my career with academia, interestingly. That was my first foreign job. And it was a different pocket altogether. From there, I moved to advertising agencies. And from there, I moved to insurance. And I've been in insurance marketing for almost 8 years now. One of the insurance companies I worked with had a had a middle word health in it, but it was actually a health insurance company.
Okay.
Right. So it has been most of my career now spans across insurance itself. And people do not buy insurance. They buy trust, right? At the end of the day, because as an insurance company, we are making sure that their risk is covered, right? But for them, it is really important to see the insurance company they're dealing with, be it for car, be it for health, be it for life. They need to deal with a company that pays back on time, right? Because it's very interesting and at times boring for other industries as well when they look at insurance or PFSI as a whole. Because interesting fact is, for insurance, when we go out to market, it's not like buying, an FMCG product, which might use it. Exactly. You're only going to come to us after making that purchase is when you are in distress, right? God forbid somebody had a car accident. That is when they're going to contact us. Somebody's in a hospital, already not in a really nice mood night. Can I have that conversation, right? Life insurance, God forbid, you only get to claim when you're no more. Of course, your dependents get to claim when you're no more. So to change that sentiment and to let people still buy that product is a bit challenging. And one thing I learned at one of the previous workplaces, and then I made a framework out of it here at our Work by Insurance, was that clarity is very important. The customer needs to understand what they are getting themselves into, right? What's the product? What are the features that marketing is promising? And what's the customer experience at the end of the day? So if you're able to club these three things together, the product, the marketing, and customer experience, I think you have the secret sauce to selling insurance, right? Across the globe. And I think that's true for Asia Pacific. That's true for the US. That's the market a lot of marketers look up to. And that's true here as well. So if your product is understandable, you're educating your customers well, and you're delivering on your promise at the end of the day. So the product, the customer experience, and in between marketing, or maybe marketing is just the catalyst. But as marketers, if when we get to drive that thing from product to customer experience, I think this is where the magic happens.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Now, one more dimension I'll add to what you were mentioning earlier is around being performance driven. Now, you've worked across different organizations and different capacities, and at least from what I see, you've been able to somewhat master what other leaders struggle to master is becoming more ROI focused, being more attributable to revenue. Now, what do you think marketers or marketing teams do wrong in terms of allocating their effort and monies? And I'm sure you've learned these facets, in your journey. What do you do to avoid them?
Right. I think one thing that us, the marketers, we need to do better is managing expectations, right? Both internally and externally, right? So managing internal expectations is at one of the previous workplaces, I heard the CEO say to my boss that you have the deepest pockets in the company, right? And every time I see you are asking for more budgets to spend, and I don't see value in it, right? Back in the days, the digital marketing was not as it is today. Attribution was not very easy, right? And most of what you were spending was, on out of home, and you were trying to do awareness more. But now things have changed. Lucky for us, right? At the end of the day, now it is easier for us to attribute, okay, I spent $5 on X channel and I brought in $50 of revenue, right? It's very clear. I mean, we can show what we brought on top of the funnel, how we worked on them and during the middle, and at the end, what was the dollar revenue that we brought in. That day, I decided that whatever I will do in marketing, I'll make sure that it has a return on investment associated with it. So the first thing that I look at as marketer is what is my return on advertising spend if I'm spending on advertising, or even if it is for the awareness purposes, I still try to connect it to some sort of ROI, some numbers, so that it is easier for the CFOs or the CEOs or other stakeholders within the company to understand. And of course, it is easier for us to then ask for more budgets because then there is a clear chain, right? We spent X and we brought in Y.
So they see the value. I don't think so. This has been a shift, at least I've seen over the last few years, where marketing is being made a lot more accountable for, hey, you're not a cost center, you're a profit center. Interesting. Now, AI. Lots of noise, NVIDIA, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, over the last year and a half. AI, at least in my experience, does have immense potential in driving marketing transformation. Now, I'm sure you're also working in trying to embed AI in all processes across marketing, wherever it fits in seamlessly. How do you strike a balance between it becoming another shiny object that we play with for a little while and move on to the next one, versus making it truly deliver value for business?
It's another interesting question. As marketers, we're usually at the forefront of getting to play with these shiny new toys, right? And we're always asking for more. There's something that's happening somewhere else. And mom, dad, I need to get that toy. It was mom, dad in our case, are the CEO. Yes. So I think AI, as soon as it started, I mean, I'm not new to AI because, interestingly, a cousin of mine did masters in artificial intelligence and machine learning in 2011. And I used to have these conversations with him where he would tell me that, a lot of the processes that we do today can be automated. And he used to do those, number crunching using algorithms and using languages, and he made me look into Python back in the days. When I was just getting out of university. Initially, it was not very interesting for me because I was like, okay, I'm a marketer. I'm supposed to be wearing the creative hat, right? What are you trying to do with me? Fast forward 3 years ago when AI all of a sudden became a thing again, right? How I see it as a marketer is we need to sit down and understand first, do we actually need it, right? And if we need it, then we need to understand in which areas. I mean, I would rather let AI support the way I'm performing today and enhance my creativity. And I think this is precisely what we do at Albatba Insurance as well. So we use a lot of we use a lot of generative AI in creating content, but we still make sure that there is a human element attached to it. I'm not sure if you've seen our social media channels, but we have avatars. You would actually see me trying to explain some insurance jargon, and it was developed while I was sleeping at home because we have cloned me, my voice, and the way I use my hands, and it exactly gives you the same result as if I am speaking today. And interesting fact is, we did our first video and I sent it to my wife, and she asked me, when did you record this? Because she's very particular about dressing and all. And I was like, this is from today. She's like, no, but you're wearing a different suit today. This is not from today. And I'm like, you guess. And she's like, this is from 2 weeks ago. Because you're wearing this dress on that particular day when you went to Abu Dhabi, right? And I told her, no, it's not from that day. It is from today. And let me send you something else. You ask me something and I'll respond to you. And I did the same thing. I generated something using AI and I sent it to her. She could not understand or distinguish exactly.
Interesting.
So, I mean, we have come a long way when it comes to AI, right? So if we are able to do hyper-realistic videos and hyper-realistic voice clones, then I think there is a lot in marketing that we can do from it, right? And I would rather use it positively before. Then there is some work that we are doing in terms of predicting lead generation, sales, trying to understand, okay, the seasonality, but the data tells us, and how we can optimize our campaigns accordingly so that we do not need to spend a lot. I mean, the cost per lead needs to go down, customer acquisition cost needs to go down, the new to brand customers need to go up, the revenue needs to go up. So AI is helping us crunch a lot of these numbers and helps us with forecasting, of course. So predictive capabilities of AI, generative capabilities of AI, and some of the thinking capabilities of AI we also use at times.
Interesting. How evolved do you think Al-Latba now is when it comes to integrating AI?
I think we're getting there, right? I mean, I can't speak for our IT teams or the transformation teams, of course, but I think we are getting there, and we are ahead of the industry. That I can see very clearly. And having worked at multiple insurance companies within the region itself, and I get to speak to a lot of insurance professionals from across the region. I think we're getting there.
Also, okay. Now coming specifically to CX, I know it's a topic that you're very passionate about and you've done a lot of work in it, especially around integrating marketing, service, digital for Al-Latba. Now, what was all the steps you took to convince the mommy and daddy, CEO and CFO, on convincing them that, hey, what I'm trying to build here is no longer a support function, but it's a value function?
Well, one letter answer would be, or one word answer would be revenue. So we were able to show results. When we started building, and together we built the CX function with the shared services of the customer service team. And from marketing perspective, we needed a USP. 60 insurance companies, 60 similar products being sold, right? We needed a differentiator from a marketing perspective. Plus, when we would look at our social media channels, like all the other companies out there, you would see the same thing, right? You don't pick up my calls. You don't pay back my kills, right? So we needed something to change, to differentiate us from the rest of the market. And that is when we sat down with the shared services and the customer service team, and we were like, okay, let's build up a customer experience function because now we need it. We all can't work in silos. Now the renewal numbers have gone up, so we are able to service entirely. The new to brand customers have gone up because we are able to show more social proof, right? And social proof in terms of the Google rating. Per se, we were at 3.8 a few months ago. Now we are at 4.5, one of the highest in the insurance companies within UAE. So, and it's not that we went out and we said, hey, rate us. We listened to our customers. We fixed what was not working. We went back to them and we said, look, we have changed. Why don't you come back and look at our services again? And that has helped us improve our Google ratings, improve the way customers speak about us. And, at the end of the day, the best type of marketing is word of mouth, right? So if you have a positive sentiment about your brand, you're in market, you go about 100%.
Now a bit about content and edutainment. Now you've often spoken about value-based content and edutainment-based content. And right now, there's a lot of clutter. Many brands competing and non-competing on social platforms, on search platforms. They're all screaming for share of voice and, share of mind. Now, how do you draw the line between making Al-Watba a brand a brand that teaches, a brand that sells, or a brand that just adds to the noise? So what do you do from a content standpoint to ensure that there's a balance between these three?
Right. So for Al-Watba, it is important for us to teach because insurance is very technical and at times boring. So some of our content teaches, and while we're able to teach, there's clarity, as I mentioned earlier. So we're able to sell better. When I bought my first health insurance policy, there was a clause on it that, you're covered for X amount for inpatient and for Y amount for outpatient. And I had no idea what inpatient and outpatient meant back in the day, right? 5 years into insurance and I still did not know. I would still get confused. I would have to go back, refer to my notes. Okay, what's inpatient and what's outpatient? That is when I realized that if we want to sell more insurance, we need to educate people. So when we started educating, of course, we were able to sell better. And instead of adding to noise, we started adding value to the industry itself. Because when we teach people, it's not just for us. If the market understands the importance of insurance or the important insurance concepts, when they're making a decision to buy a product, it is easier for them to comprehend. Okay, what is going to be the excess amount that I'm supposed to pay, God forbid, if I get into a motor car accident? If you do not understand what excess is, you will not be able to understand your policy. And that is where we believe that insurance companies trick us, because they have something written on the 10th page of their insurance policy. And when we go back and try to claim, they say, no, because of clause X of section Y, we are unable to pay your claim, right? But it is our own responsibility to understand those jargon and understand the policy better when we are buying it, right? Asking the right questions from the agents that we are buying it from. So I think at Al-Watba Insurance, what we're trying to do is to educate those customers, educate those products, so industry as a whole can benefit from it. And when the customers are buying, they are more informed and they are able to take better decisions.
Got it. Okay. Now, going a little bit back in time, from your time in Now Health International, where you did a lot of work in driving agile marketing initiatives. There was a lot of experimentation you did. Now, since then to now, what are some of the experiments that you run early on in campaigns, and what signals you track which help you in deciding, okay, now is the time to pull the trigger or accelerate or optimize?
Right. So for us, since I'm also student of performance marketing and growth hacking, as they used to call it back in the day. For us, doing doing small experiments is really important. So, per se, the first 10 days of the campaign, we look at the creatives and we look at the friction on the landing pages and other micro triggers. And then the direction of the budget being spent and the conversions it's doing, it tells us whether or not we need to, continue doing this. So after the first 10 days, we understand, okay, are we going to double down on it? Are we going to pull the plug and stop doing it? Because taking the right decision at the right time is really important. The speed of decision making plays a very important role when you're trying to spend less and when you're trying to spend less and collect more, or when you're trying to spend less and generate more.
Got it. Okay. Now a bit about working across brands, brand integrations. So you worked on the integration between Daral Takaful and Noor Takaful. Now, what was the hardest lesson that you learned from merging these brands, not only from a visual or a narrative perspective, but from a customer expectation perspective?
Interesting questions, game, and I'm glad you asked. So I think it's easier to integrate logos. It's easier to integrate colors and fonts and the imagery styles. But what's difficult and what's actually important is to integrate the customer expectations, right? To integrate the way we communicate with the customers, the tone of brand that particular brand has, right? The service expectations of that customer. So what we did back in the day was we merged the brands, of course. But then we went back and we studied both. We studied the customers of both companies. Okay, what are the similarities? What type of customers do X brand has more, and what type of customers Y brand has more in their pocket. And then looking at similarities, we shaped the tone of voice that the new brand, the new integrated brand is going to have. What are their expectations? What are the service level they are expected, right? And then we sat with the customer experience teams and the customer service teams, and we looked into, okay, how we are going to cater to these expectations, because now we have two different sets of customers with us. The best bit was that both were Sharia compliant, the Kafir brands, having very similar target audience and very similar products. So integration was a bit easier. And wherever we felt that we are going to struggle with it, we used corporate communications to take care of that.
Got it. Okay. Now coming to, so you've been active on the judging circuit, across multiple different, industry marketing awards. Now, what are some of the tenets or indicators for you that sets a good campaign apart from a truly transformative campaign?
You want me to give the answer ChatGPT gave me or my own answer?
It has to be yours.
I'm joking, because since we talked about AI, so I had to bring that in.
Yeah.
Look, why do I judge is the first question I ask whenever I'm looking at a campaign, right? And it's been almost 8 years. I've had this honor of judging at different awards across the globe. So what sets a good campaign from a transformative campaign is the impact that it has, not only on the customers, but on the company as well, right? There's a great campaign. It moved the behaviors of the customers in terms of how they feel, but it did not make them, take that money out of their pocket and put into your pocket. Then I think there is a disconnect. And it takes me back to being ROI driven as well. So for me, a good campaign is the one that shows skills. A great or a transformative campaign is the one that has some sort of, tangible items attached to it in terms of an ROI for that company. So I always look for what impact did it have on the customers and what impact did it has on the a company as well.
Got it. Could you give me an example of one such campaign that comes to mind?
Many, but I'm not at the liberty to say so because of the clauses that we have with them. But yeah, some really amazing campaigns I've looked at, and it's interesting because as a marketers we only get to see what the competition is doing or what other industries are doing from the outside. But when you're judging, you're actually able to see behind the scenes as well. What went into doing that particular campaign? What impact did it have? How many reach, impressions, how many leads was it able to generate? How many lives it touched upon? And of course, at the end of the day, how much revenue did it bring home?
Got it. Okay. Now, we touched upon the fact that you were in academia for the longest time. You mentored a lot of marketing talent. Now, what are some of the skills gaps that you notice which are currently prevalent in the marketing fraternity across everywhere that you've worked? And what should marketing leaders do to navigate that and handhold talent?
Right. So when I was graduating, I think we were the last ones who were still studying 4 Bs of marketing.
Oh yeah, Kotlers.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe, the Kotlers books have also evolved a lot. I've seen some of the recent editions too. But there was a huge disconnect because as soon as we graduated, internet was becoming a thing and social media was becoming a thing. And back in the day, having a social media page on Orkut or Facebook,
Oh my God.
yeah, it was considered digital marketing, right? So luckily, I grew up with the field. So new technologies, new things started coming in, and as a marketer, it was my job to upskill myself, right? It was a job requirement, of course, because if I wanted to grow, I had to learn, right? So a big disconnect that I still see in a lot of marketers, having worked for over 15 years now, is the full funnel thinking. Because some of us, the marketers, are thinking more creatively.
Create a video, put it out there, you can have views.
Some of us are more data driven and we are like, okay, if the numbers are right, then everything is okay. But I think we need to look at things a bit differently and we need to be full stack, right? And we need to build that full funnel thinking that, okay, it is my responsibility from start to end, from top of the funnel till, we close the customer, or even if we have to complete the loop. So customer experience, all those things, we need to look at it. Of course, we would want marketers to be T-shaped, that they learn everything. And then there is only one niche where they are specialized. But when you grow up the ladder, you need to know everything. Because if you don't, then there is a problem, right? So if you're not revenue driven or if you're not numbers driven and you get to manage a team, then how would you understand what the people are doing? So ideally, my advice to future marketers or the aspiring marketers or the marketers who want to grow up the ladder is that, you need to have that full stack or full funnel thinking.
Got it. Oh, interesting. Simple and clear. Last question before we go into the rapid fire round. You're a creator, you're a podcast host, you're a advisor, you're a CX evangelist. So I'm sure there is a lot of personal thought leadership tenets that you hold. Then there are, of course, corporate brand priorities that you are a custodian of. How do you bridge the creator podcast host Zeeshan to the CMO Zeeshan?
So behind marketing lines for me is a fuel for my creativity, a fuel for my growth, a fuel for my learning, right? Because I get to speak to a lot of great marketers like yourself, right? A lot of people who come with a lot of experience. And the learnings that I have from those discussions, I'm able to implement them at wherever I'm working, right? I'm working at a Verpa Insurance, and a lot of great work that we do is fueled by those sessions because I get to learn from so many marketers, right? So if I combine the year of experience all those guests had who I have met at my podcast, I think would be around 200 years. So I think that learning fuels the growth at Vatwa Insurance.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. Now we get into the rapid fire section.
Right.
Okay. So, question, and then the first thing that comes to your mind is what you answer to me.
Sure.
First one. If your career had a tagline, what would it be?
Okay. An interesting one. I always ask this question from my guests. And
That's where we got the inspiration from.
okay. You just caught me off guard.
We'll come back to that if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Which app do you check before anything else? Then not a big tip. Your go-to drink on intense workplace.
Green tea.
Green tea. Interesting. A habit that keeps you productive every day.
Waking up early.
Your favorite city to get inspired in.
Makkah.
Your ultimate comfort food after a hectic day.
Good one.
No, I think you have a few.
Yes. And then comfort food. I think dal chawmi.
Oh, perfect. One marketing tool you can't live without.
Can I name some of the? I mean, because it's on the vendor side.
Fine. Okay.
I think Google Analytics.
Okay. Cool. Then favorite campaign that you've ever worked on.
Many.
But you can't choose one.
Yes, but for me it would be ethical insurance campaign.
Okay, got it. The next question I think I know the answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyway. One skill every marketer needs in 25. Full funnel thinking. You already answered. But if you want to say the answer, you can.
No, 100% full funnel thinking and staying human.
Got it. One piece of advice you'd give your younger self.
You can do this.
Nice. Mine is don't stop believing.
Nice, that's a good book.
Yeah. Now coming back to the first one, career tagline.
Okay, what would my career tagline be? It would be, I think that would be, let's do this.
Okay, fair enough. So I think that's all I had. Do you have any questions for me?
Many, but I think I'll save those for a session behind marketing lines.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, cool. So thank you so much, Zeeshan, for spending the time with us today. I'm really excited about bringing your, mantras of marketing leadership to our 500,000 strong community all over the world. So I'm sure our viewers will be really inspired by what you have to bring to the table. Though in the introductory note, which I requested Zeeshan to send to me before the podcast, before this recording, was that he said that he is but a student of marketing. I would disagree. I think he has a lot to teach, and we all have a lot to learn from his experience. So from his very rich experience, from all the way in Jand and Pakistan to where he is today. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to taking this podcast out and then working with you too.
Thank you so much, Akshay. And just to close this, it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Pepper Content. Thanks to you for following up and for the invite. And again, I would say I am a student of marketing. Thank you so much. And I look forward to the episode.
Thank you.